Oh. Okay, so welcome back to our hold on, Jory's got to turn off her phone.
Sorry.
You're in my reading room, Jory.
Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. Mine wasn't off either. Anyways, so Jory and I are back for yet another fun-filled podcast.
After like 2 months.
We're
back!
We had a thing with canceling because we're going to blame it on winter and illness.
And life.
and life.
Just life in general.
Yeah. So we're back.
Yeah.
Is that what you just did?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. Not to copy the poltergeist, but yes. Anyways, so we're going to kind of do this one a little bit different. I think in the next month or two, we're going to start having guests come on because it'll kind of help us too, and so that we don't bore you constantly with just Jory and I. Not
with
that
our bullshit.
Not that we're boring. We're actually quite funny.
We're pretty funny sometimes.
But yeah, when we want to be. But it will just kind of help, jazz it up.
Yeah.
Spice it up a little bit.
Different topics, guests.
All that good stuff. We already have one that we're talking about for next month. And that's going to be exciting. I think her and Jory are going to have an announcement, too, about some exciting stuff that might be happening here. I know that we're worldwide. We're listened to by over 30 people worldwide.
We are getting it.
But here in the Gila Valley, Jory and our next speaker will be having something really exciting that they're starting up here. So anyways, so we're just today is going to be a shoot the shit kind of day, but we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about, right? Because, it's been 2 months of us trying to figure it out.
I had all kinds of ideas written down, and then I get here and I'm like, fuck, I don't even remember. At least you had stuff written down. I didn't even write anything down, so it's fine. Yeah.
It's fine. This is fine. Anyways, but Mike came in. My husband, for those of you that don't know. Yeah, he's sitting here watching.
Hello.
And hello.
Hello.
I heard you the first time. Just kidding.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me now? And he had a great idea of talking about, what was it? How did you word it exactly?
Time wasted?
Wasting time? Taking time for granted.
Taking time for
That's
granted.
what it was.
That's what we're
You're
looking
welcome.
He's like, where the hell? What are you guys talking about?
I know he was.
As soon as we went live, I went.
He literally. I looked over at him, being like, "How'd you word it?" And he like went.
Don't let this dullard expression.
Yeah.
He had to think about it for a second too. He was like, "Wait, what did I say?"
Well, what is this?
It sounded great 15 minutes ago. I totally forgot.
I know we had to tell him to be quiet because he would say all of his good stuff before the podcast started.
No, you tell me to be quiet, that just wipes the slate.
Slate clean. Be quiet. You were trained well. So anyways, we wanted to talk a little bit about just like life in general and
just shoot the shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit and kind of time being taken for granted. And okay, so about time being taken for granted. So I honestly, am I the only person where I will look back and I remember like certain childhood memories super vivid, right? But then you look back and you're like, holy shit, I'm turning 50 in June, okay? But for me, it's almost baffling. It was a completely different lifetime. Like,
things are so different.
But that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Like, I think about stuff then and everything was, like you said, so different.
It was so different back then. Things are so different.
Well, so people always say, oh, I don't believe in multiple lives. And I was telling Mike one time, I'm like, that was one thing I had a really hard time with at first. Do I think we live multiple lives? I think a lot of us do. I think some of us choose not to. I think some of us choose to. But you think about it. In this one life, I have lived so many lifetimes.
That's your multiple lives.
That's your multiple lives.
And that's what I'm... Really? Well, you guys are geniuses. That was the point I was getting at.
Did you see the light bulb
But
go off?
I'm like...
We threw that in there. You didn't know how long it was going to take you to get back around to it.
Shut up.
He's like, well, boom, there it is. That was your multiple lives.
Lead with that. But I mean, truly, you think about it. In this lifetime, I've been a newborn. I've been a toddler. I've been a child. I mean, elementary school, junior high, high school. Then I was single and dating in college. And then I was a married young woman. And then I became a mother of young children. Then I became a mother of teenagers. Then I became a single parent. Then I became, I mean, it's just crazy. And each one, if you stop and you really think about it, it really feels like it was a totally different lifetime. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it means that to me, but I don't know if other people view it that way either. If they're like, oh my gosh, that was forever ago.
Yeah.
Like who I was 10 years ago, completely different from who I am now. So it's just like, you know.
So imagine if you live till you're like in your late 90s. That's like a freaking 10 lives
Please
lived.
don't ever wish that on me again. I'm all, don't you ever.
But I see all these older people, and some of them will come into my work and stuff, and they're like in their 90s, and I'm like, they have lived such a freaking long life.
You're only
You're not there
68,
yet.
you
You're
turd.
not there yet, Mike.
He likes to pretend like he's old. But no, it's true.
And I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to live to be that old.
I don't.
And one thing I don't want to do.
What, as old as him or 90?
90.
Good luck.
90. And then you have some of them that are like mean and grouchy, and you have the really nice ones, and I don't want to be mean and grouchy.
Okay, but I can honestly see why some of them are. I'm like, I'm not going to lie.
Imagine the shit they've gone through in life.
Dude.
That's probably what put them like that.
All I'm going to say is if I'm miserable and I'm tired and I have to get up and go to some damn doctor's appointment.
And people have to wipe my ass
and I got to
for me.
beg someone. Okay, but let's say someone does. And then I have to beg someone to take me to the doctor and help me walk in. And then,
So maybe you could have a little more compassion for me instead of.
yeah, that's cute, but no.
She's like,
That's a really
different.
good
That's
suggestion.
different.
You like to pretend like you're old, but you're in better shape than me. So, okay,
Yeah, I
so for
wanna know
those
you're
of
as
you
old
that
as
have
you are.
never seen Mike,
Yeah, I don't want to hear about it.
he is 68 years old, going to be 69 this year. Oh, and he literally is in better shape than me. Like, the dude, it's whatever.
I'm almost on my 7th life.
Oh, okay.
Your 7th decade, yeah.
My 7th life.
Yeah.
I
7th.
said 7. Yeah, it's multiple lives. It's my
This is a 7th.
Every 10 years
I
hits
look at
another
it- I
life.
look
It's
at
like
it as-
cat lives.
I look at
Yeah.
it- as I've gotten older, I look at my life as a book, and every 10 years is a chapter. So I base everything on how I change.
So chapter, not book. Or lifetime.
Well, the book isn't. The book will be completed when I croak.
Yeah, let's not talk about that
Yeah,
because
so
I might be a
right
medium,
now-
but I'm not ready for you to go anywhere
But
just
in
yet.
10 years,
No.
Take 10 years and make that a chapter, and you go back. And
I think about that all the time.
Dude, that's
But
crazy.
chapters,
One to
chapters, yeah.
Like this is one chapter, but how many? What's like smaller than a chapter? Like, can you have like sub chapters
A
or something?
paragraph or
Because you think
a
about it, like in
page.
each chapter is going
Yeah.
to be like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Boy,
what I-
okay. Does
that's what
anybody
I
else
do.
feel like we got stoned and then started this podcast? Because
what
this
it
is
feels
some
like.
stuff like a
No,
bunch
you're
of
just not used to somebody else-
high
you're just
people
used-
would talk
you're not
about.
used to somebody else talking.
yeah.
I know.
that's
I'm not sure how I feel
I
about it.
know. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. But no, it's true if you think about it. Every 10 years, that's a good chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
That's
boy,
true.
a lot of crap happens in that 10 years,
my
man.
Look at it like
Even
when I
after a
was-
year, things
when I
can
was talking
change
about
so
it,
much
it's
over a
like
year.
1975 was when I graduated.
It's when I was born, by the way.
Yeah.
He graduated high school a month before I was born.
I'm not going to be putting out the pedophile patrol. After
Oh Lord.
1975 to 2025, that's 50 years, right? So that's a 50-year span. And how fast did that go? You know, I didn't ever thought when I graduated from high school that 50 years ago, and here I am at almost 69. It's crazy.
Thank heavens. Thank heavens you're good looking. You aged well.
Yeah, right.
Like
I'm
fine
getting your new
wine.
I'll be getting your new glasses here.
No, if you want me to keep thinking you're good looking, don't get me new glasses.
matter,
That's the Just stop. Anyways,
So I don't
what were
know.
you gonna say, Jory?
No, I don't know.
My dog's over there trying to
Your dog's trying to shake my hand.
trying to. Okay, she
We're
doesn't
talking
ever
about
let
50 years. Where were you
anybody.
50 years ago.
I wasn't born yet.
I was gonna say she's only 46.
I'm climbing up the ladder.
What are you on?
46. I'll be
Are you on your third
44.
You're on your third
Are
chapter?
you
I'm on
really
my
only
fourth
40?
chapter.
Fourth chapter.
How old were you when you had Selena?
Let's not talk about that.
No, now
Just
I want to
kidding.
know what. Let's talk about that chapter in the
I
book.
was super young. Well, she's 27. I'm going to be 44.
Yeah, okay, don't make me do math.
Do the math.
14?
No, I was not 14.
16?
I was 17, almost 17.
I'm like, don't make me do math. No one said there'd be math, and I'd have to actually stop and think, and it's midday right now, and I've been outside working. I'm not going to stop and think about that.
I was super young. I started young.
So wait, how old were you? What'd you say, 17?
17 when I had her.
That's not,
think
I
was
mean, that's
16
young.
I think I was
That's
16
very
when I got
young.
pregnant and 17 when I had her. I was still in high school. But I finished high
Oh,
school
44
early.
or 40. Yeah, okay. I figured that. I figured out the numbers after
didn't
you
know
said
that?
it.
All this time you know me and you didn't know that?
No, I always thought you were a few years older, not because you look older, but because Selena, and I just assumed you started when everybody
I did
kind
the
of
whole-
starts. I mean, not that everybody starts at that age, but the
But
norm.
It's not very
Let's say the
uncommon
norm.
for young kids to get pregnant anymore. And that scares the shit out of me for my kids.
It's not very uncommon.
Uncommon.
I thought you said it's not very common.
No.
I'm like, oh,
It's not very
contraire,
uncommon. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Because I don't want my kids,
But you have boys now, except for your
Selena
youngest.
waited. She was out of high school. She was older. So I thank God for that. Cito graduated. He was already graduated either way.
Yeah.
And then Matthew's graduated. He ain't
Matthew's
got no babies,
graduated.
So we're doing good.
I think there's a lot of pluses to having children young.
Well, yeah. And I think about that
Maybe
too.
not 17 young, but yeah,
Well,
young.
I mean, but, I think within,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, I mean, let's just stick it at having children young.
Yeah.
Because as they grow older, right, and you grow older, when
You
they
still
get
have that
past that,
time.
they're 18 or 19 where they're going to branch out. You're still young enough to go out and have
Live your life.
You get to go
You
wild
can
and
live
in
a
your
chapter.
40s.
You can still live a chapter.
That's
See?
honestly, everyone's like, oh, I wish I would have waited till I was older. I was so much more patient. And I'm like, not me. I had all 3 kids by the time I was 25, I think. And I tell you what, sheesh, love it.
My mom had me at 35, so when I was 20, she was 55. And back in that day, for somebody who was born in 1926, when you're in your 50s, you look old. In those days.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know what it is, but those chapters, it's just like, you just look old.
Well,
I look at
think
people
about
that
it.
look old
Your mom literally lived in a dugout
in New Mexico.
in New Mexico, and 2 of her siblings passed away because the water out there was bad.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, it was a totally different time. Nowadays, we got bottled water, and
Well, they came across from Pawnee, Oklahoma, in an ox with a wagon
like
pulled by oxen.
Life was a
like
little
Oregon
harder.
Trail, like that game Oregon Trail that we used to play on the computer.
oh, I thought you.
When they had those diseases and you die. You
Yes,
remember
that
game?
was exactly.
Yeah.
This was in the late 20s, and they came across from Pawnee, Oklahoma to the government claim gave them land in New Mexico. Truth of consequences.
I still want to go there one time just to visit,
Yeah.
but then I figured out how far away it is from where we are, and I thought that's not worth the 6-hour
No,
drive. Sorry. If you live in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, sorry. I'm sure it's beautiful, but I'm not driving over there. 6 hours.
Maybe if you happen to end up there one day for whatever reason,
Yeah,
then
for
you could check it out.
whatever
Yeah, but
reason,
you're not
it's
going to make
fine.
that trip. I get it.
I'll get out and explore, but
Okay, now
until
what does
then.
that have to do with time?
I know. What is that?
Because that was her lifetime. That was her chapter. See how I tied it
He's
all
all
in
back
there?
on the subject.
See how I tied it all in there?
Yeah,
Got that one back? Yeah,
you did
you're welcome.
good.
Well, I guess it's just as you start to feel luckier about it, is that you think back into the 20s and 30s, your life expectancy was a lot shorter. If you made it into your 50s, you were like old. And I look at pictures of my grandparents who are my age at 69, almost 70. They look like they're. Well, I think
They were like my age and they looked decrepit.
I'm a history buff, right? So I was looking at some old World War II pictures of Eisenhower
Yeah.
and MacArthur, and they said they were in their 50s. I swear they looked like they were at least 75 years old if you look at it.
That was a rough life
So
back
you-
then,
I
no
know.
man.
Go for your chapter. It's like everything is dealt to where with all the advancements we make, you don't. Even though you're in your 70s, you still have more chapters of your life to go.
Should have got a third microphone.
I know.
I was gonna say, can you hear him though?
I can kind of hear him in the background.
Oh dang! Scoot closer to
Yes, go
Jory.
this way, Mike, and then you can maybe mic on the mic.
Mike, Mic drop. That's what I
Ping,
say
ping,
when he
ping,
falls.
ping.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Is that a little better?
No. I mean, I could still hear you before, but it's about the same.
About the same. Okay.
I'm like, well, dang,
You're too cute.
we tried.
Yeah, we tried.
Let me sit on your lap.
Yeah, come here. We'll sit
I
lapsies.
was asking Julie.
I was asking.
Or you could scoot. See, they could scoot that chair by her and maybe talk. I don't know.
Sit in the middle.
Or sit in the middle. Come sit on the
We
floor.
don't have nothing else to say.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, okay then. He gets up and leaves.
He's like,
okay,
that was my input. That was all I had to say.
fine. You've stayed your hour.
Say we should get a third mic at some point.
We actually,
For
I'll,
guests.
Need a third mic.
I'll
We're
help.
gonna-
Original mic.
We're gonna need
I
them
have
for
the third mic.
guests,
I have
babe.
the third mic.
We're gonna need it for guests anyway. So
You have to get
I'll have
one.
to get us.
here, no, move
Maybe
the
sit-
ottoman over. Oh Jesus!
Or just sit on
No,
the.
you're gonna. Oh my God, you're gonna break my chair. I don't think this chair was meant to hold two people like us. We're not little.
How's that?
That's way better.
Yeah.
Gotta start
Aw.
over.
Yep. Scratch everything we just said.
He's like, I'm more
Start over.
comfortable. That's better.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad he's comfortable. Oh, your dog wants you. Anyways, no. Where are you going?
It's hurting my butt.
Oh.
I, th- I think a lot back from when I was little. And like, to me, I always say that was the good old days. That's how I feel it was the good old days. Life was so much easier.
It
didn't
was.
see
I
so
don't
much,
think
like,
I'd ever
we
want to go back
lived-
and relive it though.
We lived, well, I guess depending on how your childhood went.
I had a great childhood. Man, that was a lot of learning I went through from them to now, and I don't know if I want to go through that twice.
I'd rather go back and pay attention and actually learn more. You know what I mean?
That'd be.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd rather go back and relive certain moments.
Because my dad worked for the prison when we were younger, like my whole life. And so we lived at Fort Grant for years. I think till I was like in 5th grade. We lived up there.
Is
at
there
the prison.
housing out there?
Mhm.
Really?
There's housing up there.
Didn't know that.
I tell my kids, that was the days we didn't have technology. We didn't have phones. We were sent outside to play. You just come in by dark and make sure you're home by dinner. Our parents weren't asking where we were. We were just
They
out
didn't give two
riding
craps.
We had 3-wheelers back then. We were out riding the 3-wheelers, freaking running in the trails, just doing our thing.
3-wheelers. Oh, you guys
we
were
had three.
rich. We had 3-wheelers too, but we could only ride them out at the dunes.
Well, the thing about out there is, at that time, they
Oh,
didn't.
there
They didn't
wasn't
charge you. They
subdivisions.
didn't charge you for housing. That was all free. You didn't have to pay nothing. So
Well, and I'm sure it was out in the middle of nowhere because
yeah.
it's the federal prison, so it's not like, see, in ours, we lived in neighborhoods, so we couldn't ride them unless we went out.
So we
you know
had
what I
that-
mean?
we had that. We had all that open stuff to just go run.
Do whatever
free.
you
There was
wanted.
creeks that we would go.
Make concoctions
We had
out of berries up
horses.
bushes and
They used to. We used to go out while the guys would practice roping. They had
Oh, yeah.
cows and everything out there. It was
Yep.
so fun. I miss those days, but
I remember when I was a kid. Okay, this is totally off subject, but I always thought it was so cool to smoke, right? And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very forbidden in my family because we grew up extremely religious. And we used to go, there was this ravine. Well, it wasn't a ravine. It was like a little park, a retention basin. That's what they're called. And it was just like a little park, but all the extra water would flood down there, you know, because we lived around a bunch of farms. And we used to go down there and collect all the cigarette butts and suck on those.
That was-
All the
that was the
used
cool thing to
cigarette
do?
butts. Yeah. Unless the Candyman came.
oh,
Then we'd buy the candy cigarettes and
Yeah.
puff on those. But yeah, I'm surprised I never got hepatitis from sucking on someone else's cigarette butt. So grateful for that. Thank you, Lord, for not letting me catch the hep.
You know, what I was thinking on all of this, for this topic, is you don't really think about time lost until you get to a point in your life where you look back on things like we're looking back on right now, and you're like, holy crap,
Yeah.
I can't believe it was that.
Where did that go?
where did the time go?
And I can remember being out there riding, like you guys were talking about as a kid, riding bicycles out in the desert, building forts out in the
Mm-hmm.
doing things like that. But I don't know, you just take it for granted.
You don't think
everybody
about
takes
it.
for granted until you get to a certain point in your life where it's like, dang, I wish I hadn't taken that for granted. Because they can tell all the people who are younger than me, I can tell them, hey, don't take it for granted, man. Live for what you got, you know. Live it with gusto, whatever you can do. But it just goes, it's like, oh yeah, you know, that's just, that's just old people talking, telling
They
you
don't know
stuff.
what they're talking
They
about.
don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
But it is the honest to God truth. And
Yep.
anything in your life that's more honest is that, take advantage of the now.
Yeah.
Because you can live in the past, and you can let the past guide you. It's good to go back and reminisce, like we're reminiscing. But if your past is leading you, then you're screwed.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can never go back and change it. You can never make it anything different.
Exactly.
So enjoy waking up today. How fast did it go? We were up this morning, right? Got up, drank a cup of coffee, had some breakfast. Go out there into the yard. Andrew and I are out there working. That's past now.
Yeah.
How fast did that go?
Exactly.
It's already a memory.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was up at 7:00 this morning already. Now it's almost getting to be 4:00.
The day's almost
I
over.
went like that. The day is gone. And as you retire and you get older, days go by faster.
I
When
know
was
you
working,
always.
I'd go to work for 12, 16-hour days, and it seemed like a drug on it would never get old. As soon as I retire and I get old, I wake up, and they say, I know, time to go to bed. I'm like, Jesus, where did the day go? Crazy.
I
Well,
swear to you, yeah. The
he
weekends
always-
fly by fast. Everything, you're like, what happened?
Where did that go? He always says to me, like, we'll go do something one weekend, and then the next weekend I'll go, do you realize a week ago today we were on our way to Vegas? And I'm like, holy crap, that flew
It's
by.
crazy.
It's crazy how fast it flies. But the one, I think
Too fast.
one of the
He's just
things
scratching.
that people, like you were saying, they take it for granted, like you don't realize until you look back. I think one of the things that always brings people around to like having awakenings is when people pass, though. Like you stop and you go, holy cow, like, okay, I don't want to take it for granted. They were here 1 minute, gone the next. They had no idea, even though they did know. I mean, because they signed on for it, but still. And so it's kind of one of those things. Mike will have those every once in a while when he'll hear about a friend.
Oh,
He'll be like-
we were watching Friends. Remember that? Remember that? Well, we were looking for something to watch. because
Oh.
We get at night. It's like, what are we gonna do?
Can you
So-
hear him in the microphone?
Kinda, yeah.
So I said, how's that?
Yeah.
I'll still join.
Just swap back and forth.
Yes.
So this is a good story because I just thought of it. It involves my daughter Mandy, who passed away in 2014. She was a huge Friends TV show fan, big fan of that. And we were sitting there, and I'd watched a couple of episodes here and there, but I got
He had
it on
never
there. where
watched
They had
Friends.
all 10 seasons on there, so we sat down and we
Was never watched
started
Friends.
watching. I said, I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna watch this stupid show. So we watched all 10 seasons of it. Well, there's one of the seasons near the end when
Monica.
Monica and Chandler were they couldn't have a baby, and so then they got a surrogate, and they adopted the surrogate, and the surrogate had twins. Well, my daughter Mandy, she was born with a heart defect where she couldn't have children, but she really wanted children. So her friend Nicole Brown, I guess I can say the name, right? Nicole Brown became her surrogate and carried the babies and had twins. And I always thought in my mind, where did she get that
Idea.
idea to do that? Because she knew she couldn't have it. And it just popped into my head when we were watching that episode of Friends that, holy crap, I bet you that's where Mandy got that idea to have twins, or to have, not twins, but to have a surrogate. Because that was her dang favorite show. And it's like, sometimes it's just, something will click and you just know.
Yeah.
You just know how that happened. I just thought that was interesting as hell that I had never put two and two together. And we've been watching, her next show was The Apprentice. She liked to watch The Apprentice. So all of a sudden, it came on to where it was available to watch all the seasons on. I
And it
started
kept
watching
advertising, and Mike's like,
Yeah.
what the heck?
I'm
That
like,
was
I wonder-
Mandy's
so I'm
favorite
wondering if
show.
That's my daughter trying
She's trying to say, hey, Dad.
trying to say, hey, look at this, Dad. This is kind of the stuff.
Oh, you know
what's
that's
going on.
exactly
So,
who, yeah.
But I thought that was pretty interesting as far as the babies, because she did end up, Nicole did carry twins, and she had the twins, and she was in March of 2014. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we were just sitting there watching that scene, and all of a sudden he goes, oh my gosh, this is where Mandy got the idea to have babies. Like, I mean, granted, the lady they were adopting, and Mandy did surrogate, but
Yeah.
it was still just yeah, it was definitely one of those epitome moments, you know?
That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Pretty neat.
That's her right there.
Yes.
Anyways, that was actually a pretty cool experience. So I enjoyed it. And now we're watching all of Mandy's favorite shows.
That's the way to do it.
But
That's the way to do it.
anyways, so
And
that's our stories.
And then, like, it's crazy that we're talking about this today because this guy right here, Skyler, he ordered some books that he had remembered from his, what are they called? Calvin and Hobbes.
You didn't, what do you mean?
No.
What are they called? You didn't know what Calvin and,
I
oh,
couldn't
okay.
remember
I'm
the
like, oh
name
my
of it.
word, you didn't know what Calvin and Hobbes
I
was?
don't.
And he actually ordered a set of the books because that's something that he used to read back in the days in his
Yes, those were
childhood.
the best.
So that's crazy that we're talking about this today because he ordered a set of them. They barely came in today, so he's all excited.
Wait a minute. How old are you, Skylar? Oh, he just a baby.
He's just a baby.
Just a little fella.
I used to go, like, I had my Game Boy, I had my Discman, and I'd climb a tree with my Calvin Hobbes books, and I'd just be up there reading my stuff.
Oh, that's so
Seeing stuff like that. So he
cute.
found those and he's like, I'm going to order these. And he ordered the collection of them because he wanted them.
Just the whole
Yeah.
set. It's
Speaking,
every-
that's just pretty cool that we're talking
Calvin
about
and
this.
Hobbes, honestly, hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So stuff
So
like that.
that's cool. And then here you go and get it.
To
Do you guys have a
reminisce about
tree?
us-
Do
reminisce
you need to
about
borrow
us.
one of ours?
He might have to come over and crawl in one
I
of
got,
yours.
I got
'Cause
a man cave.
he's got
A little man cubby. A little man
we
cubby.
call it a man clave because it's a closet.
Man clave.
But he's got a cool setup in there. But yeah, I just thought of that. He ordered those. So that's something from his childhood that it makes him remember being a child.
I love
and
that.
Going back to stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
what the whole setup in the closet is about. Like, you open it, it looks like a freaking 90s child is living in there.
It's because they are.
But, well, yeah, and so
Child at heart.
Yeah.
I told Joey, I was like, this isn't immaturity. It's just, it takes me back
Nostalgia.
to when I was a kid.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Nostalgia.
That's whenever, life was simpler.
Yeah.
That's the good home feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think real hard when those things are around. It just reminds you when you were a kid.
Yeah. It just brings that back.
Simpler times.
I
Yep.
see those things
Exactly.
on Facebook where they'll do like 80s kids will remember this, and it's like a video and it plays all the different 80s things in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You got those cassette tapes
Oh.
and you have like
Oh, but the psychedelic, like with
Yep.
the neon colors
Oh,
on
yeah,
it.
those
Remember
are
those?
cool,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Or the strawberry shortcake.
strawberry shortcake.
And you push on her stomach and she'd blow kisses at you. And I had a Care Bear.
Kisses.
What? Those were. I'm like, it better have been kisses. But then Care Bears. I had a Care Bear, but I can't remember what color it was. Those and Cabbage Patch. Don't get me started on Cabbage Patch. Boom boxes. I took breakdancing
Yeah.
lessons.
Look at you.
I don't want to brag.
I noticed that on that video you posted the other day dancing for Mike. I knew you
Oh,
had some moves.
thank you.
I knew they were coming out. I was like, she did this
Could
in her
you tell
past
that I
life.
had some serious breaking moves, man?
Well,
Yeah.
that's not epilepsy.
Well, does anybody else remember breaking
Breaking
one and
Breaking
breaking
Wind?
two? It was like some breakdancing
Breaking Wind.
movie. Breaking Wind.
Bad.
That's
I
my Indian
don't.
name, Breaking Wind. But it was like breakdancing anyways, and they had boom boxes and anyway, me and my
Those
brothers
were-
just thought that was cool.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah, that was the stuff,
I
man.
thought your Indian name was Two Dogs.
Shh. This is supposed to be. Cut that part out. Skylar, cut that part out, please.
Nobody knows. Like,
Nobody
two
knows.
dogs.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure a lot of people. That's a pretty good joke. But anyways, yeah. I don't know. What's your thing, Jory? What do you remember from your childhood?
Being pregnant.
Shut your mouth. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I say
Thanks
that
a
out
lot, Mike.
Oh, this is why we have guest speakers. Michael, keep it real for us.
Something I remember back when I was little is when my family used to always get together. And I was close with my cousins, and we all used to, have the family get-togethers and just the Christmases. And I think once my tata passed away, that kind of changed with the family and stuff. And
Yeah.
I miss all that. That's why I try to get my kids together when I can, because I like that whole family. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? I try to do that, but it's so different these days. It's hard to make that happen.
Think about it. Back when we were kids, not all the mothers worked.
That's true.
Most of the mothers stayed home,
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got both you have to have the two incomes nowadays. And so to get both dad and mom and then kids with all their schedules and it's different. It's funny
hard.
how much it's changed from then, because before it was me and my siblings. I mean, it was great if we got to do something like, I'm trying to think. I did dance for a little bit when I was younger, but for the most part, you know, unless the boys were doing football, we didn't have a lot of. And my husband thought of another smart-ass remark to make because he's over there laughing at himself. But I'm proud of you for keeping your mouth shut.
Hey, but high five.
Facebook, they saw you dance.
Okay, that dance move. I danced for my husband the other day, and he put it on Facebook, but it was silly dancing. So,
But high five for dancing because I used to do tap dance when I was little. I was in
Girl,
tap. And ballet.
ballerina.
I was tap
I
and
did
ballet.
ballet and tap and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it wasn't
okay.
pretty, but I did it.
Hey.
I was a chubby little white girl over there with no coordination, and I was, ooh, man, you should have seen it. I even have pictures of it, and my leotard barely fits, but it's fine.
I remember them
fine.
tap shoes and them ballet shoes. And
I used to,
I felt
and
so cool.
the leg warmers.
Yeah. All that shit. Like,
The leg warmers every time.
one thing I do look at is pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures
short
Pictures of when I was little, and I'm like, what the hell did my mom dress me in? The clothes that were back in the day, and then my hairstyles. I'm like, holy shit! And that was the cool shit back then. That's what
I was
going to
say,
style.
and my mom took great pride in how I looked. Like my hair was done every day.
I'm
on
like,
my
really?
clothes.
Mom, you really thought I looked cute? I used to tell her all the time, Mom, like, what is this?
My glasses, whatever. I picked glasses one time, and I look at those glasses and pictures of them now, and I'm like, oh Lord.
You thought they were cool back then, though.
I don't know. I don't think that was ever cool. Maybe I just thought it was, but I wasn't cool for a long time either. So, I mean, they could have been cool to me, but I was not cool. Farthest thing from cool.
Me and my brother,
Quite sad.
Me and my brother will find pictures once in a while of each other, and I'll send it to him and be, oh, look how cute I was. And he'll just
Look
laugh
at how
me.
precious.
It'll
I
be a
had
picture of me and him together, and I'll be, look how cute I was.
Okay, so I've got. Pardon me.
Hands up. Just kidding.
I've got. Oh, Mike's got pictures. We're not going over your pictures.
No, I just want to show you. If you want to feel better about yourself in your childhood.
He was at least cute. I had that uneven bob. Does anybody else from the 80s remember that? Where one side was longer than the other? That A-line? Oh, man, I just thought I was the shit.
The George McFly.
Okay, so my mom sent me to go take these modeling classes. Okay, it was like at a JCPenney modeling class, right?
Okay.
And we got pictures at the end of it. And I remember just thinking I was so pretty in these pictures. I had on a sage green shirt and floral pants.
You were just rocking that day.
I look at the pictures now and I'm like, oh my word.
And do you remember glamour shots when you used to go to Walmart and get your
I was
hair
never
all
rich
done?
enough to afford that.
Me and my mom got them one time. We were
ooh.
lucky enough to get them one time.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you.
Hashtag
my hair.
blessed. Hashtag blessed, yeah. Well, yeah, helmet. It's
Yeah.
like a helmet,
Yeah.
but that was the style.
It was big.
That was I'm just getting ready to graduate from high school.
That's when I was born. Yeah, I know he's a goober. He aged
Babe.
well. Thank God he did not age.
This is the front yard, 1980. Right out of the airport.
Okay, if you guys could
killer
see these
shorts,
pictures,
man.
if you guys could see these pics,
Look at those dad
polyester
shorts.
pants, button-up shirt, toothpick, because the dude was like, Mike.
These are the clothes my sisters.
And the
bought me
shorts, the guys used to wear. My dad used
Oh,
to wear this shit.
I'm
like,
pretty sure his
oh my
butt
God.
cheeks were hanging out of those shorts, and those were basketball shorts.
They sent me to school.
Oh Lord.
And the headband, but the headband for me. What?
His hoochie daddy shorts.
His hoochie daddy. And he was a beanpole. Like the dude was like 100 pounds soaking wet. So he's like this tall beanpole, and then he's got the side part from hell over by his other ear, which is great because now he doesn't have any
Mike,
hair.
I don't know.
What?
I like those striped pants he was wearing.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh my
They're
God.
probably plaid and they're probably polyester,
Yeah.
if I'm thinking correctly.
Good stuff.
May 30th, 1975.
Oh my gosh, I was going to be born in
almost-
17
That's
days.
almost 50 years ago. So
Are there 31 days in May?
If you talk about
Yep,
Wait.
I was going to be born 17 days later. Little did you know, you pervert, that your wife was
gonna be
coming
born.
along.
She was gonna be born.
17 days
You
later.
damn
Oh,
weirdo, Mike.
well,
Just
I
kidding.
know. It's a good thing we don't go by age in this house, because if we did,
Oof.
judging,
There would be-
always judging.
No judging here.
No judging. We had a
No
no
judging.
judging. I was gonna say you and Skylar's.
We listen and we don't judge.
Maybe a little.
Maybe a
Maybe a
little.
little. Yeah.
No.
Silently.
Yeah.
And after you leave.
You know, I had another question to ask, and that is that if you remember when my mom and dad, and they had my mom and dad, and they had their brothers and their sisters, their parents' siblings,
Uh-huh.
and then you had your cousins, right?
Yeah.
How your whole life was revolved around your parents always wanted to go to your relatives' house, to go to
Yeah.
your cousins, and
Yep.
do that. What happened to that, and why do you think families don't do that now? That's my question.
I honestly think, well, okay. I think it depends on the age of the children. When my kids were little, they didn't have cousins. All my brothers didn't get married and start having kids till my kids were much older. But if you look at families, when their kids are younger and then their siblings have, so there's like aunts and uncles and all the kids are kind of in the same age range, it's different. They go do family things, but once the kids get older, they stop.
Okay, well here's my take on it, and I say it's because of
Hey, Mike,
technology.
When you talking to, just flip that microphone around. 'Cause it's a vocal
How's that?
mic. Yeah, it's way
Okay, better. Okay.
'Cause it blocks out sound from behind.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that would make it, yeah.
I think it's technology, because you look at where your
Okay.
parents and everybody else grew up, right? We had TV, but it sucked. It wasn't nothing like
And
what
it was
it
only
is now.
Saturday mornings
Yeah,
that
you're
anything
lucky.
good, or
You're lucky
Thursday
you
and
could
Friday
get a
nights.
good. Lucky you could get a good channel or anything to watch, and so you didn't have the internet. You didn't have all that. So I think, and this is my opinion, that technology has wiped out that type of connection you have with your relatives, because you're too caught up into the social media platforms that
Yep.
are so, and you just become almost hypnotized
Well,
with
and
it.
kids are growing up faster now. Like when I was 12, I remember literally, okay, so I grew up LDS and I had just started Young Women's. Like that was my interaction with boys, that in school. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
because it was Young Men's, Young Women's at church. And I was still a kid, but nowadays, man, these 12-year-olds, woo-wee. But I'm sure they probably said that about us when we were younger. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just every I am becoming my parents, my grandparents. That's what it is. But I agree. I do. I think I think that's
And it doesn't
very
and
observant.
Politics doesn't help anything now, because you have families hating each other. They don't
I'm
even
like,
talk to each
and
other.
now if you don't agree on politics, your whole family's screwed.
You're just disowned, or they hate you.
Jeez, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's that's.
That was exactly what I was gonna say. I think it's technology has a lot to do with it.
That's the poison, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in the world today. Is that-
Yeah.
and that's, I don't know how you would, because you can't really turn it off and disconnect now. You can't just not, I guess you can if that's a lifestyle, but how hard would it be
To communicate.
It'd be easier if you weren't ever. It would be a lot easier if you weren't ever, because if you think about it, my mom and dad, they didn't grow up with that. They didn't miss air conditioning because they didn't have air
Yeah.
conditioning. They didn't miss electricity because most of the time they didn't have electricity.
We have all this stuff, and we're like,
Yeah.
how did everybody survive without it?
But that's the thing is now we can't, because that's how the world functions.
That's how the world
Like
goes
if you
around.
try to cut yourself off, I mean, you can. A lot of people go and they do the homesteading and things like that, but you can't protect your kids from it because eventually they're going to get out there and see it anyway, and then it just becomes this.
And that leads me back to taking time for granted, and it seemed like there was more time for them back then, because they weren't on a schedule to where you had to, oh, this TV show's coming on, or this podcast's coming on, or this something else. I've got to get on Facebook and follow all my friends. They didn't have that. They'd get up in the morning. Their day was all around chores or doing whatever, going and visiting relatives. That was their social media, was doing that. And so I think that created a slower time frame for things to be happening. And I think technology has sped up the aspect of what time actually is.
Oh.
Good answer.
Oh, good answer. Dang it. I'm married to a genius.
You sure are.
And you messed up the microphone. Who? Where is he?
Sorry. I had to turn it.
When you touch it, it just goes.
I had to pull it down.
No, I'm just fine.
I'm just telling you.
I'm
It wasn't. I
girls,
didn't do
girls,
it-
you're
do it-
both pretty.
I didn't do it intentionally. I was just trying to flip the microphone. I almost said the
So
microscope.
how many minutes have we been going?
We're on 40 right now.
No, we're doing good.
Yeah, not bad.
We're almost up to like Joe Rogan, 4 hours.
I mean, we
No.
could probably talk for 4 hours, but I don't want to.
I was gonna say I don't want to bore everyone after a
know.
while, I'm sure.
just start bullshitting about everything.
But I'm excited. So this next podcast that we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna have a guest speaker. She's really excited about coming on. I don't want to say who it is yet because, you know, things change.
We'll
and-
surprise you, and we'll just surprise you.
Yeah, supplies. But anyways, and her and Jory, I'm excited for what is to possibly come. I'll give a little teaser. Can I give a little teaser?
But yeah, but remember, we want to try to touch survivor's guilt a little bit. So my daughter.
Oh, that's right. We have another podcast too that we're wanting to do. This was just kind of we need to do a podcast, but we couldn't get another guest speaker. Thank heavens we have Mikey, who stepped in and helped. But we are going to do a podcast on survivor's guilt. We have Jory's daughter who wants to come in and speak with us. Her and her brother were super close, are super close. So it's kind of one of those things where she just wants to share her experiences and insight in that. And then another one, we're going to have somebody else who has also had a child pass before them, and hopefully get her to come in and sit down and talk with us a little bit about that. And I'm hoping that we can get, or not we, because I'm not going to be in on it. I'll help them, but they don't really need me. Another child or angel support group going for parents who have lost children. So here's to hoping.
Can
Yes.
we talk about doing the GoFundMe for this podcast so we can do a on the road in San Diego?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I
Let's
like
start a
that.
GoFundMe so we can travel to Hawaii and do
Here we
one
are,
there.
Mission Beach.
Yeah. Somewhere.
If that were a thing, I'd try. So anyways, that's pretty much it for us today. Just kind of thanks, Mike, for
Yeah, thank
helping
you,
us.
Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
He's
you, sir.
definitely not afraid. I love it. Kind of my favorite. We'll end it with one thing we're grateful for because we forgot to start it with one thing that we're grateful for. I personally am super grateful for this weather. I am so ready for summer. I am so ready for the heat. I am so ready for my pool to get set up and be able to be outside. I know winter.
I don't like the heat.
Well, we have air conditioning. Don't be a puss.
I know. I don't like the heat or the cold. I like the in between.
Oh my, you and Mike. I
That's perfect for me.
swear.
I only have like 2 months a year that
Where he's happy and doesn't bitch about something.
F the cold, F the heat. The
See-
in between, I'm good.
I will take the heat any day. I will take the heat any day over the cold. Everybody's sick all winter and it's bleh, and everything dies off. So like trees are dead, flowers are gone. I'm just like, ugh. I don't know. I like sun. I like happy. I like barbecues and pools and I don't
You
know.
can do that with the in between.
Pools
People
in
are,
the fall?
people are swimming. Well, I'm talking about like now when it's nice outside, where it's in the middle and it's not hot.
Oh yeah, no, spring. I like spring.
Springtime.
Spring and summer are my two favorites. Fall means it's leading into winter, and I get that seasonal thing where I have to constantly tell myself I'm not sad. So fall is a bit of a trigger for me because it makes me realize, oh crap, the heat's over, and now I've got to deal with winter. But I'm really trying to change my mindset on that.
perspective
But I do love fall, but I know what it's leading into. But spring is leading into summer. And so for me, that's my favorite. But anyways.
I was going to bring up about how I was thinking about this on the way back from Tucson. About I got to think about something I'm grateful for because I have so much. But, sorry.
Oops.
I'm grateful for my mom. And I say this because on my Facebook today, it came up a memory that we've been friends for 15 years on Facebook. It just made me think that I'm grateful for my mom and her strength because I think that's where I get it from.
Does she still have her Facebook?
I'm thankful for her showing me strength because I think that's helped me a lot because she went through so much and she was a fighter till the end and she was super strong and I think that's where I get it from. Her and my Nana. My Nana's pretty strong too. I think it's just them women.
You're an awful lot like Janie.
Yeah.
I never met Janie in life, but I've met her in spirit, and
I think sometimes I'll say stuff and I'll be like, I sound like my mother.
Sometimes. Yeah.
I did that today.
Yeah.
Whenever I was like, damn, I can sure smell that beef jerky all the way up here. Holy shit. I was like, that's not my dad's.
That's the thing.
That's my dad. I just became my dad.
That's his dad.
But no, I agree with you. I think you're definitely an awful lot like your mother, which is a good thing. Janie's amazing.
I just think that's where my strength comes from. So I'm thankful for my mama.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us and thanks for listening to us ramble on about a bunch of crap that isn't pertinent, but sure is fun to listen to and talk about. So we love and appreciate all of you, and we'll keep you posted on when we do our next podcast. And
get ready, because it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.